Just past the halfway point of the season for the ARCA Racing Series as we get ready for the Ansell ActivArmr 150 from Chicagoland Speedway. The drivers we have to keep our eye on, especially this afternoon, is Mason Mitchell, who wants to make a career change as far as his statistics go. He's been a runner-up more times than any other driver in ARCA without a win. Grant Enfinger started the season with 3 consecutive wins and is eyeing his first championship in this series. And up front this afternoon is a very busy driver. John West Townley won the pole earlier today and will race for his second career win in the ARCA Racing Series this evening.
It's been a busy month in the ARCA garage. At Elko Speedway, Grant Enfinger started strong.
Green flag in the air, we're underway.
But the tangle with traffic slowed his march. That is, until 40 laps later. Enfinger regained the lead on the track and in the points.
Enfinger's gonna win it here.
His 4th win of the season.
It means the world to me. We're like the little engine that could. We got a lot of heart.
He sure likes those short tracks. In Winchester, Indiana, ARCA veteran Ken Schrader might have set the track record, but it was a young gun who stole the headlines. On the final turn, Brandon Jones announced his presence, then took the checkers in his ARCA debut.
Led the most important lap, the last one.
Jones left with the trophy, but not sure how many new friends.
We knew who the real winner should have been.
You know, I don't really like to win them that way, but, first ARCA race, and just had to go for it right there at the end.
Seven races in front of these guys. It's a very tough summer stretch.
It really is, and it's 7 races in a row, and it starts right here at Chicagoland Speedway. And the diversity of this series is what makes it challenging and difficult, because of those 7 races, you can see we've got a couple short tracks. We have this 1.5-mile super speedway. We've got the 2.5-mile super speedway at Pocono. And by the way, let's throw in a couple dirt tracks as well, all in consecutive weeks. Remember, these guys have a lot of part-time help. It's very challenging for these guys to do these 7 weeks in a row and keep these cars on the racetrack.
So that's a rough road ahead for the schedule, but how about the rough road here at Chicagoland Speedway?
Well, all the talk in the garage here is how difficult and challenging it is to get through turns 3 and 4. There's a lot of bumps over the tunnel in turn 3 and 4. A lot of the guys are having trouble getting there. Will Kimmel said he's just stopping over there. It's not that the bumps are going to cause wrecks, but it's going to cause a tough situation for these cars to go fast through that end of the racetrack.
One guy who was able to find some speed earlier today was John West Townley as he won the Menards Pole Award presented by Ansell. In that lap, he was able to outduel the other drivers and grab his 2nd career pole award here in the ARCA Racing Series. He continues to run for a championship. This is going to be the 14th race here at ARCA, or at the Chicagoland Speedway for the ARCA Racing Series, and just the 11th race of the 2014 season. To get things underway, we need to fire the engines. Let's go trackside for today's command.
And now for the most famous words in motorsports, please welcome your Grand Marshal, President of SBU North America, Joe Kubasek.
Drivers, start your engines.
The engines come to life and the adrenaline level just shoots up tenfold here as we get ready for the next race along schedule for the ARCA Racing Series from Chicagoland Speedway. And welcome back as we get ready for the Ansell ActivArmr 150 from Chicagoland Speedway. For more of the storylines, Ray Dunlap and Jim Trader on pit road. We go to Jim Trader.
And one thing I want to point out, guys, is the driver starting in the 5th position, the number 55 Jegs Toyota of Cody Coughlin. He's worth Venturini Motorsports this year, but this 18-year-old certainly has a lot going for him. 6 races into his 12-race schedule, he's got a best finish of 6th at Toledo Speedway. He's got more confidence today than I've ever seen in him, though. He said a couple changes. They changed crew chiefs to Dave Liner on the Venturini Motorsports team. That's added some calm and some veteran leadership with him. Jeff McClure still with the team with Leilani Munter. Also with him, he said, I changed my seat. That may not be a big deal, but he went from a carbon fiber seat to aluminum. He said, I feel better. There's more room for me. And at Michigan, I was not that comfortable. Today, I find the speed. I'm challenged by this track. Watch the 55. He was fastest in practice yesterday, Ray.
You know, Jim, here at the Chicagoland Speedway, we've had 13 ARCA Racing Series events, and there have been 13 different winners. And a guy that I think has a real good shot to go to victory lane today is Mason Mitchell. Now, he's a guy who's second in the points this year, and he's also had 19 consecutive top 10s. But take a look at all of his close but no cigar finishes. These are races where Mason finished second. And in each of those races, 6 of them, there has been a different driver go to victory lane. Mason Mitchell told me he's got a fast race car. They qualified in the top 10, and he believes today he breaks that streak. No more second places. Mitchell going to be the 14th different winner here at Chicagoland.
That would be an impressive statistic for Mason Mitchell. You see the 77 currently still stalled on pit road.
He was actually on the racetrack and came down pit road here. He will have to go to the back of the pack for pitting under this pace lap here. Not sure exactly what they're doing there. They have the left rear tire off. Maybe a battery issue. Maybe he noticed his volt gauge wasn't up to where it needed to be. They may actually be changing a battery here.
So difficulties already for the 77 of Tom Hessert on pit road.
That's what it looks like. That's the area that they would be working on.
We're going to ride along with a few different drivers. Phil, take us with him.
Yeah, let's ride along with Austin Winslow and the AM Technical Solutions Dodge. He's 7th in points. He's scheduled to start in the 23rd spot, but he may have to go to the back of the pack because of issues in qualifying.
Starting 17th today will be Team Stange Racing's Ford, driven by Buster Graham. He's got a best finish of 9th. That came at Michigan a year ago.
We're also going to ride along with a 6-time runner-up that Ray was talking about, Mason Mitchell. He's in the Musselman's Wildlife Foundation of Florida Ford. He has 19 top 10 finishes in a row coming here, dating back to last year, and he will start from the 9th spot.
The Jegs Toyota of Cody Coughlin will also carry one of our cameras. The 18-year-old will start in the 5th position today.
Let's ride along with the 25 car, the Zaloop Toyota of Justin Boston. Justin got that first win this year at Toledo, and he's right now starting in the 4th spot.
Starting up on the front row, it's the Alamo Rent-A-Car Chevrolet of Spencer Gallagher. 3 times he has been a runner-up in the ARCA Racing Series. He wants to change that statistic today as he's looking for his first win in the ARCA Racing Series. Our Scott Rookie Challenge. Quite a few rookies fighting for the top spot, but right now it is Austin Wayne Self who has been oh so good as a rookie. Currently 6 top 10 finishes already this season in the first 10 races, but some issues earlier today in qualifying for Austin Wayne Self as he was making his qualifying run. Got a little bit loose coming out of turn number 2, corrected it, got into the wall, and so that car obviously had some damage. They had to make some changes to it.
Yeah, they will go to a backup car. Let's take a look at it here. Everything looks good here as he enters in turn number 1. Drives right down to the white line, bottom of the racetrack. And right here, he gets a little bit loose, a little bit shaky, chases it up the hill, and then runs out of room, makes some pretty significant contact with the outside safer barrier with that 22 car.
So again, some damage to the back of the 22. The 77 was on pit road, Ray. What were they doing?
Well, Rick, most of the time when you take the left rear tire off, it'd be exactly what Phil Parsons was saying. You would be changing or checking the battery. But guess what? They actually changed the location of the left side rear track bar. Tom Hessert said he felt like his car was going to be way too loose in traffic today. And he qualified 11th, but he'll have to start in the back. They made the track bar change on the left side.
There you have it. A big change, a major change that would drop them back track position wise if it would be under green or even under a cautious situation. So a great idea to do that where they just have to go to the back of the field for the start.
Yeah, I don't think ARCA will allow them to make that change after qualifying, so they had to do it on the pace lap here. It's going to be the same result. He's going to have to go to the back of the pack.
Out in front of the field, Spencer Gallagher, John West Townley. John West has quite a few days in front of him where he's got a lot of races. I believe it's 5 races in the next 8 days.
That's right. Starting tonight. We're here 2 tonight.
A very busy young man, and now he brings the field to the green flag for just the 2nd time in his career. Green flag in the air. We're underway from Chicagoland. Will Kimmel with a great start, looks to the inside, tries to challenge for the lead as they go into 1.
Spencer Gallagher wisely backs off, gets in line behind Will Kimmel.
John West Townley, Will Kimmel racing down the backstretch for that lead. Now the tricky turns 3 and 4 where there's a bump right in the center.
How about John West way up the racetrack? Will Kimmel will have the advantage on the bottom.
John West Townley stayed up near the wall. Will Kimmel will lead lap number 1 from Chicagoland.
Strong move by Will Kimmel on the start.
Spencer Gallagher tucks into the 2nd spot. Then it's Will Kimmel, or excuse me, then it's back there to John West Townley.
Or Spencer Gallagher had something going. Looked like he got maybe bottomed out a little bit in the middle of 1 and 2, and that car shot way up the racetrack.
So as they work through 3 and 4, still out front, Will Kimmel. Then Spencer Gallagher closing the gap now. John West Townley holding down the 3rd spot.
Good battle here.
Justin Boston in the 25 running 4th.
There's Matt Tiff, the 52 car right there, the Federated Auto Parts Chevy. On the inside of the racetrack behind Mason Mitchell in the 98. Cody Coughlin on the outside. Battle for the lead.
Here comes Spencer Gallagher looking at the inside of that 69 of Will Kimmel. Gallagher now with the preferred line as he ducks into turn number 3. He'll take the lead away.
How about 4 wide back there? Justin Allison making a major move in that 88 car.
Just behind him in the 52, Matt Tift driving that Federated Auto Parts number 52. And that time by Spencer Gallagher with a comfortable lead. 3 car lengths as they cross the start finish line. Will Kimmel has slid back into the 2nd spot, and John West Townley in the 3rd position. Take a look at this close racing.
Here's Grant Enfinger on the inside of the racetrack. Gets a little bit loose underneath Cody Coughlin. He has to catch it. Mason Mitchell gets a little bit loose up against the outside wall as well. And here comes Justin Allison. That's the 4 wide we saw here getting down in turn number 3.
Unbelievably tight racing early on in this one. That was on lap number 2. Frank Kimmel just behind Grant Enfinger. Grant Enfinger already 4 wins on the 2014 season.
I was just going to say, what an amazing season Grant Enfinger. He finally got to victory lane. He had 4 2nd-place finishes until he got to victory lane last year. Did it twice, and then reeled off 3 wins to start the season, and then got the other one at Elko a few races ago.
Spencer Gallagher, another driver looking for his first win as he gets very loose coming out of turn number 4. And he's got a huge lead over 2nd place Will Kimmel. Pushing it very hard as they go early on in this race. 5 laps complete, 95 to go. What about pit strategy, Phil? Is this a situation where you might come a little bit early because you can go a little bit further on fuel?
Yeah, these guys can go probably 65 to 70 laps, something like that. So once they get to lap 25, lap 30, then they're in their window to maybe make it from there. So we could see some guys stop early. But I think it's going to take a caution flag that early for them to come down pit road.
Justin Boston was looking to the inside of that 69 of Will Kimmel. The fight for the 2nd position.
You can hear a lot of out of the throttle time here at this racetrack. This is not one of the real fast 1.5 miles. Our pole speed was up over 170 miles an hour.
Battle for 2nd continues. Justin Boston following right in the tire tracks of Will Kimmel. They go through the bumps in 3 and 4.
Very obvious, the bumps over there over the tunnel in turn 3 and 4.
Back into the gas hard for Justin Boston as he's all over the back bumper now of Will Kimmel.
See a little bit of a bump getting down in turn number 1. Will Kimmel moves way up the racetrack, opens up the bottom for Boston.
Justin Boston trying to complete the pass. The momentum on the high side keeps Will Kimmel in the running, but now it's Justin Allison in the 88 that goes around.
Justin has made his way up into the top 10. We saw him make that 4 wide pass early on there, but trouble early.
Justin was running in the 7th position, and the caution comes out here on lap number 9.
I think we talk about making an early pit stop. This is too early to make it the rest of the way. Now, if you need an adjustment, there's nothing wrong with coming in now. And obviously, Justin Allison's going to have to come down pit road.
And we've seen a lot of drivers look very loose early on in this race.
See, Justin got a little bit loose up off of turn number 2. Fortunately, nobody made any contact with him.
And the first caution comes out. Spencer Gallagher is your leader at Chicagoland. And welcome back. A few drivers making their way onto pit road.
I think several of them taking the opportunity to make a chassis adjustment as well as top off with fuel.
Will Kimmel was running in the 3rd spot, gave that position up to come onto pit road.
Brent Enfinger, our point leader, also came down pit road. He was running in the 8th spot. There's Justin Allison. Jim, what are they saying about the 88?
The driver, Justin Allison, thought he might have had a tire going down, but his spotter, after he got back going, said, no, all tires are up. He said, man, this car is so loose, I need to pit. So they did pit for 4 tires, took a rubber out of the right rear to tighten that car up. A lot of cars on pit road are saying they have a very loose condition. One driver that doesn't is John West Townley. He radioed in under the green flag saying, this car is so tight I can't turn it. His crew chief, Brad Parrott, said, turn your fans on the front, adjust your line. So a lot of adjustments going on, mostly on the loose end is what I'm hearing on the radio, but Townley, our pole sitter, said he had a tight condition early here, but he did not pit. He was just told to save gas under this caution.
Rick, let's see if we can talk to our leader right now, Spencer Gallagher. Hey, Spencer Gallagher, Phil Parsons up from the Fox Sports booth. You got a copy?
Hey, buddy, what's happening? How you guys doing up there?
Well, we're doing good, man. How are you?
Well, I suppose I can't complain. It's a pretty view from up here. What's going on?
Well, that car looks pretty good there. Wow, were you fighting any handling conditions?
You know, I was just telling my crew chief, we're just a fudge 3 back to the gas center and out, but it's a very drivable loose. Right, a place like this, as long as you can keep a car rotating, it's amazing how well you keep your momentum up.
Spencer, I understood your crew chief telling you to save a little bit of fuel there. You guys in a little bit of a conservation mode?
Well, you know, that's kind of for him to know and for me to find out. I just sort of do what he tells me. I'm not really too sure on the fuel numbers, if I'm honest.
Well, keep doing what he tells you. Keep doing what he tells you then.
Say again now?
Keep doing what he tells you then and keep that thing up front.
Sounds like a plan. Talk to you guys later.
All right, buddy. Thanks.
So Spencer Gallagher enjoying his time up front. Green flag back in the air for the Ansell ActivArmr 150. Spencer Gallagher and Justin Boston fighting for the race lead. It's Spencer Gallagher out in front. Justin Boston running in the 2nd spot.
John West Townley, the 15 car right now running 3rd. Cody Coughlin was right with John West Townley, was slow through 1 and 2 now.
Didn't have a great restart. And running just behind him, Mason Mitchell, as well as Tift in the 52.
Matt Tift's going to go down the bottom of the racetrack to try to get by Cody Coughlin. Matt's in that 52 white car. There they are, side by side. Caution back on the racetrack. There's some debris.
Yep, debris on the racetrack.
Looks like a side window there, doesn't it?
And if we remember correctly, John West Townley had problems with the right side window in qualifying earlier. Didn't have it, so it might not have fit.
That's right. the ARCA officials will be looking for a car without a right side window because it is a requirement.
Possibly the 97 is missing one. We're going to find out.
That's Roger Carter in the 97 car.
The debris on the racetrack brings out caution number 2 early on. Now, does pitting on this lap make any
I don't think so. I think we're still
drivers?
early. I think you can go 65, 70 lap green flag laps.
Yeah.
Now, each caution lap will help that situation, but I don't think we've had enough caution laps for these guys to make it from here. See, Roger Carter, undoubtedly, he may be the car without the side window, and he's moving up to pit. And there it is without one.
Missing. Right side window required, so he'll make his way onto pit road. Ray Dunlap.
I just wanted to update Will Kimmel real quickly. He gave up 3rd position on the track under our first caution to come down and make adjustments on his race car. Said his car was very, very loose all the way through the center and off. So they made a track bar and air pressure adjustment. When he went back to the track, he was 10th. Now, his uncle Frank Kimmel was in 10th position, came off the racetrack. Also, he was very loose in turns 1 and 2, so they made a big swing at that. Ansell, number 44, he came back onto the track in 11th. Those guys currently racing for 10th and 11th. Now let's check in the other end of pit road with Jim Trado.
Ray, similar story for the number 90 machine. That's the K-Site Motor Honey Ford of our point leader, Grant Enfinger. He came down pit road as well to the first caution. I just talked to his crew chief, Kelly Kofsky. I said, why'd you pit and what'd you do? He said, the car was loose. They took 2 rounds in the right rear jack bolt, 2 rounds in the right rear spring as well to get that car a bit tighter for him. He said, quote, the crew chief, I'd rather do my adjustments now, put a fuel in it, and not have to do that all on my 4 tire change. So this team may be on a 1 more stop strategy here at Chicagoland.
I think that's a good call to come in early. This is a 100-lap race here. Come early, get your adjustments, because when you make that money pit stop, you really want to not spend any more time on pit road than you have to. And anytime you make an adjustment, that's going to cost a few extra seconds.
So Grant Enfinger again running for a championship alongside a guy who's won 10 of them. Coming up on Wednesday, Camping World Truck Series is live from Eldora Speedway in Ohio with Camping World Truck Practice, followed by Camping World Truck Qualifying, and ending it up with Camping World Truck Racing. Coverage begins at 10 a.m. Eastern on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Heading back to the dirt track at Eldora.
One of the more highly anticipated events of the year in the Truck Series.
And in racing. I think
exactly
everyone turns their eyes to Eldora when NASCAR made its return back to dirt after a 43-year hiatus, and Austin Dillon was able to get the win a year ago. Now he's entered back in that field, as well as Kyle Larson, who finished second.
That guy right there will also be doing that. That's one of the 5 races he's going to do over the next 7 or 8 days. John West Townley running full-time in this series, the ARCA Racing Series, as well as the Camping World Truck Series.
And also running some nationwide races. He'll run one later today, as well as at Indianapolis next Saturday.
As well as the ARCA Racing Series event we'll have from Lucas Oil Raceway on Friday night.
Very busy young man as we ride along with a few different drivers, get a feel for what it's like behind the wheel of one of these ARCA Racing Series cars.
There's Cody Coughlin right there. Cody right now runs in the 4th spot. Mason Mitchell, the 98 car, he runs in the 6th spot.
Up in front, it's Spencer Gallagher and Justin Boston making up row number 1. Spencer Gallagher has chose the inside line for the restart.
Spencer had a great restart last time.
We'll see if Cody Coughlin has worked on his restarts. The last one wasn't so good for him. As they come back to the start finish line, green flag back in the air.
Boy, another great restart by Spencer. John West Townley now will pull up beside Justin Boston in a battle for second.
John West Townley strong on this restart. Justin Boston coming down on the right side of that 15, trying to crowd that 15 down the racetrack, and around goes the 20. So Tom Birdie spinning and into the grass just off of turn number 2.
He stayed green for the moment.
Green, he's out, and now the yellow flag will come out for the 3rd time. Tom was inside the top 15 on that restart. Take another look.
Got a little bit loose down there at the entrance to turn number 1. Tom did a nice job of not letting that car go on up into traffic, kept it down on the inside in the grass. Old buddy David Ift is the crew chief for Tom Birdie.
And so the 3rd caution has come out at Chicagoland Speedway. A handful for quite a few drivers, a little too much for Tom Birdie. Next Saturday, UFC Fight Night returns to Fox with a full card of epic bouts, including a welterweight matchup between number 1 ranked Robbie Lawler and 5th ranked Matt Brown. It all begins next Saturday with the prelims at 6 p.m. Eastern, only on Fox. Grant Enfinger on pit road again.
Yeah,
Jim.
changing 4 tires. They're also making one more adjustment in the right rear jack bolt. They got that done. They want to get the 4 tires on now. It's only lap 20 now. But again, they wanted to get that car better. They pitted from 12th. They have one more set of Hoosier radios here in the pit. So again, this might be a 3-stop race because the driver continues to complain of a loose condition, as did his teammate Justin Allison, who came in also in the 88 for tires and fuel to fix his loose condition on his Ford as well.
Get all your pit stops done right away, and you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, absolutely here. Ray, how about the 22 of Austin Wayne Self?
Well, they've come in a couple of times, Phil, and the bottom line here is the left front was dragging really badly on his car, excuse me, so they had to make some pretty big adjustments to try to get it up off the track. Now realize we documented the fact that he crashed in qualifying, so they pulled this car out. The backup car is actually what they used to race at Winchester. Not ideal to use at Chicagoland, so they've had some adjustments to try to get it better.
John West Townley back on the front row. This time he'll restart in the 2nd position. Spencer Gallagher is your race leader, and a little bit of history between those two, but it was in the truck series. Green flag back in the air. Last truck race between Spencer Gallagher and John West Townley, there was actually a little scuffle after the race.
Yeah, a little pushing and shoving after the race at Iowa, the truck series event. But allegedly they kissed and made up.
Well, I don't think they kissed, but they might have hugged and made up.
Oh, okay.
And right now it's Spencer Gallagher who's in front. Justin Boston looking to take 2nd away. John West Townley. Townley a little bit higher line. And that fight for 2nd continues as the 2 of Thomas Prater falling back through the field.
There's Buster Graham, the 47 car. You see the 88 going by, Justin Allison.
This fight for the 2nd spot continues. Justin Boston on the inside in the 25. John West Townley on the outside in the 15.
See what happens when we get down to turn 3 and 4 here. Remember, this racetrack is a little bit unique in the fact that the back straightaway is curved all the way from turn number 2 to turn number 3. You see those cars go through the bumps there in the middle of 3 and 4, and they stay dead even.
Side by side down to the apron goes Justin Boston. That time by, they were separated by 2/100ths of a second. Still in the 2nd spot, it's John West Townley, but Boston continues to work that inside line, trying to take away the position.
John West content to run the middle of the racetrack. Justin Boston right down in the bottom. You see the 52 of Matt Tift. Ooh, Townley in the wall.
Into the wall goes John West Townley. Looked as though a right front tire may have went down.
Something, either the right front tire went down or something broke on that Zaxby's Toyota. He'd been running high.
He's going to get out of the groove, but now the yellow does come out. Got all the way down to the apron, and the caution comes out for John West Townley.
Crew Chief Brad Parrott says, what on earth went wrong over there? A lot of damage to that Zaxby's Toyota.
Hit very hard. John West Townley has had a finish of 21st at Salem, and behind the wall goes the 15.
See, there was no contact here from Justin Boston. John West up at the top of the racetrack. And something definitely went wrong. Looked like the right front tire went down and right into the outside wall. Fortunately, he was already up on the top of the racetrack. We see how much damage that car has. It would have been way worse if he'd been down where Justin Boston was and the right front tire goes down.
Yeah, you saw sparks coming out of there before he even hit the wall. So a hard hit for John West Townley. As you mentioned, not as hard as it would have been if he would have been down lower on the track. We ride along with Justin Boston.
Yeah, everything was fine till right there. We saw the sparks from the other camera view as something went wrong with the right front of that car.
And into the garage goes John West Townley in the 15 car. John West scheduled to race in the nationwide race still later this evening, a 300-miler.
Going to really take a hit in the point standings. John West came in here 4th in points, within shouting distance of 3rd. Grant Enfinger, Mason Mitchell right now has a little bit of cushion over the 3rd place point battle.
So Spencer Gallagher has had a few different drivers beside him on restarts. John West Townley was the most recent, and now he is in the garage. That will put Justin Boston beside the 23 on the next restart and put Matt Tift up into the 3rd position.
Got a couple of our leaders making their way down pit road. Justin Boston is going to come down pit road. We saw Frank Kimmel as well. Mason Mitchell, the 98 car. Ray, how about the 44 Frank Kimmel?
Well, Kimmel's saying he needs another big adjustment. They're going to go down 2 rounds on the track bar to try to tighten up his Ansell Camry. He said when he's in the center of the corner, it's really, really loose. They're going to put Sunoco fuel in. They'll put Hoosier tires on the right side here. Now let's check in with Jim Trado.
There's a crew chief change on the 25s Loop Toyota this week. It's Billy Venturini back on the box. Kevin Reed said, see you later. He quit this week, but nonetheless, Billy said we need a win before the race. They think this might be the move right here. 4 tires and the adjustment on the number 25 machine, Ray.
98 took tires. He's going to get done and get ahead of Frank Kimmel. They made an air pressure adjustment on the right side for Mason Mitchell to try to help him with his entry.
Phil, we're looking pretty close. Like, some of them might chance it. See if they can go to the end.
I think without a doubt, a couple caution laps probably help that situation.
Thursday, soccer's best teams and greatest players come to America for the 2014 Guinness International Champions Cup. It all begins with Olympiacos taking on AC Milan live in New York. Coverage begins Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, only on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Olympiacos.
Nice.
I'd practiced that for weeks.
And your big chance.
Ansell ActivArmr 150 for the ARCA Racing Series, about to go back to green. 4 cautions already. As 28 laps are complete, we're on lap 29. Coming up to the green flag once again, Spencer Gallagher is your race leader. Matt Tifft will move up into the 2nd position. Jim Trado.
Hey, real quick on our race leader, the Alamo rental car number 23 machine, that's Spencer Gallagher. Your buddy, Phil, he just said to his crew chief, what do I need to do? He said, keep doing what you're doing. Tell us what the car is doing. He said, it's a bit loose, but Pickle London, the crew chief, just told me we can stay out to lap 75 if we need to. As good as this car is running, that's our plan. If we have to go green that long, that's how long we could stay on this racetrack.
Well, we've had 4 cautions in the first 25 laps, so
we may have another.
Well, that's odds are. A lot of cars, though, made a pit stop under that caution flag and just possibly a little outside their pit window, but with a few caution laps, they may be able to make it the rest of the way.
Haven't seen a lot of green flag or long green flag runs, so we haven't really been able to figure out who's strong on long green flag runs. As field makes its way back to the start finish line, green flag back in the air.
We know Spencer Gallagher has been fast on the short runs, that's for sure. How about Will Kimmel? Has already been down pit road. Now he's going to jump to the inside of Matt Tifft to take over 2nd.
Hugging that wide line, had an adjustment by his father, Will Kimmel, or Bill Kimmel, crew chief for that 69. And chasing after the 23 of Spencer Gallagher.
Will's another one of those young drivers looking for win number 1. He's had a runner-up finish in the ARCA Racing Series, but hasn't got the victory lane yet.
That runner-up finish came on a short track, Salem, back in 2011. And now able to hug that white line and looking very strong on the restart.
Will's just running limited races this year. Had a 4th at Pocono and a 6th at Michigan, his 2 best so far.
Now looking at the inside of that 55 of Cody Coughlin is the 25 of Justin Boston. Teammates, those 2.
Ooh, a little bit loose there over the bumps for Justin Boston.
Coming up on the back bumper of Josh Williams in the 6.
Josh finished 2nd in this race last year at Chicago.
And Boston able to clear the 55 of Cody Coughlin.
Mason Mitchell, now the 98 car, is trying to move to the inside of the 55 of Coughlin. It is a battle for position. All 4 of these cars battling for position.
And as these cars continue to battle for position, John West Townley out of his car. He's with Brad.
Yeah, we're in the garage, Rick, and John West was 4th in points coming in. You had a great pole-winning car. Any indication of what went wrong?
Well, we blew right front. I mean, we had a tire rub. It was just rubbing on the tire, and we just had no idea. And I mean, it just went out at the perfect time, just getting into turn 3, or the worst time, I should say. And once it went down, I mean, there was just nothing I could do. It's really unfortunate. We had such a good car. I think we definitely have the car to contend for the win. It's just really sad, but you know, I got to thank Zaxby's and our new movie advertisement, The Identical, for giving us all the support. We just hate it, you know. We just got to go to the next one and pick up the pieces. That's all.
All right. The racing coming up for John West, including tonight in the Nationwide Series.
Grant Enfinger looking to the inside of that 55 of Cody Coughlin.
It's a battle for the 7th spot. There's Frank Kimmel. The 44 moves to the inside of Josh Williams in the 6.
Coughlin still able to stay in front of Enfinger. Holding on to that 7th spot. Enfinger, though, moving to the inside. Holding that inside line as he tries to get in front of the 55 of Cody Coughlin.
Cody's getting some good experience here. First start on a 1.5 miles for this young driver.
Already 4 top 10 finishes for Cody Coughlin on the 2014 season.
And Enfinger's going to go ahead and complete the pass.
Here comes Frank Kimmel looking to the inside of that 6 of Josh Williams. Kimmel, what an incredible career. This man has had 80 wins, got the 80th win when he captured his 10th championship in Kansas at the end of the 2013 season.
Just an outstanding career here in the ARCA Racing Series, and a nice guy besides that.
Yeah. Yep. None better to represent this series as he does get by the 6 of Josh Williams. Kimmel into the 9th spot. Spencer Gallagher has opened up a pretty good sized lead between himself and Matt Tifft. Gallagher has 0.8 of a second on 2nd place Tifft. Will Kimmel is the nephew of Frank Kimmel. See him right there in the 69.
Justin Boston was really loose on the bottom there, Rick, trying to get by Will Kimmel.
And Boston back on the gas, trying to close the gap between he and Will Kimmel.
A lot of throttle here at this racetrack.
Justin Boston already a win earlier this year at Toledo. Take a look at what happened when he got to the inside of the 69. Sideways for Justin Boston. You see his hands moving.
Watch this from the onboard now. Listen. Had to pedal that thing, get out of the throttle to catch it. Now he's moved up the racetrack a little bit.
Will Kimmel holding on to the 3rd spot. Justin Boston back in 4th. Mason Mitchell holding on to the 5th position. But it's been Spencer Gallagher that's been able to stay out front here at Chicagoland Speedway in the Ansell ActivArmr 150. It's a 2nd lead over Matt Tifft, who's running in the 2nd spot. Justin Boston, Will Kimmel, and Mason Mitchell are your top 5 in the Ansell ActivArmr 150 from Chicagoland Speedway as we close in on the halfway point of this race.
Spencer Gallagher has had a good car from the drop of the green flag. You see he's led all but 2 laps here. We know he's going to have to make a pit stop here at some point, though. We had a bunch of caution flags early on, but now we've had a little bit of a green flag stretch.
You said pit window around the 60-65 range.
Yeah, but that'll go up as we've had those caution laps. So now we probably can go 75 laps for the guys that haven't come to pit road. Good battle right here, though.
Great battle. We've got Tom Hessert on the outside in the 77. Grant Enfinger on the inside. Grant Enfinger's been on pit road a couple times. Tom Hessert came on to pit road before the green flag even flew to make a pretty major adjustment to that race car. And it seems as though it's working out as he's worked his way up into the top 10.
Yeah, Tom was our winner at Talladega earlier this year. Had a 2nd place finish 2 races ago at Elko, Minnesota. He's going to lose that spot to Grant Enfinger right now. Put Grant up to the 6th spot.
Grant Enfinger able to take away the position now. At jegs.com of Cody Coughlin. The 55 able to close the gap between he and the 77 of Tom Hessert.
Cody doing a nice job here, getting experience. You see Mason Mitchell moves in on Will Kimmel. That's a battle for the 4th spot.
Kimmel trying to hold on to it. Looks like he's got his hands full in that 69. Mason Mitchell has continued to close the gap, and now all over the back bumper. Ray.
Mitchell's race car was very, very loose, as I told you, so his crew chief said, let's make a pretty good swing at it. They went down 1.5 on the track bar. That helped tighten him up through the center a lot. He said, my drive off is so much better. So pretty happy with the changes, and now he's got a good run. He's going to get by Kimmel.
Yeah, move Mason Mitchell. Think he's not working inside of that car?
He took just a second to reach in there and wipe the sweat away from his eyes, but then both hands right back on the wheel.
They move up high, run the high side of the racetrack down here in 1 and 2. Opens up about a 6-car length lead over Will Kimmel in that battle for the 4th spot.
Able to get by Jerry Tunney in the 3, one of the lap down cars. Mason Mitchell, a very impressive 2014 season. All top 10 finishes for that young man. Spencer Gallagher holding on to the top position.
Really hasn't been able to shake Matt Tifft. As a matter of fact, Matt's probably as close as he's been since the restart right now.
Closing the gap once again in that 52. Matt Tifft, another one of the drivers looking for his first win. Spencer Gallagher has never won in the ARCA Racing Series. Neither has Matt Tifft.
Matt's had a couple 3rd place finishes this year. Really did it back to back at Toledo and New Jersey on the road course. I know Kenny Schrader would be happy. Car owner Kenny Schrader would be happy with the job Matt's doing here this evening.
Looking impressive here from Chicagoland as they pass the halfway point.
We're going to see Kenny Schrader at Eldora next Wednesday. He's going to, on his worldwide tour during the summer here, he's going to stop by and race with us at Eldora in the Truck Series.
And Spencer Gallagher putting a little distance between himself and Matt Tifft now.
Trouble!
And up goes Austin Wayne Self in the 22 and into the wall.
Boy,
caution comes out again.
Obvious what happened to that 22 of Austin Wayne Self. 2nd car that they've lost this weekend. Lost one in qualifying. Austin was running in the 12th spot here. Hard contact for that Cunningham Motorsports Dodge.
Just past the halfway point. Look at the damage. Look at how much the rear suspension in that axle has moved that whole rear end out to the left because he hit so hard.
Yeah, bent the trailing arms. I'm sure the track bar mounts. That may kill that race car.
Saw a thumbs up though from Austin Wayne Self as he will be climbing out of that race car.
ARCA officials do such a great job with the safety initiatives inside of these cars. You see that nice big headrest there. That's going to keep that head and neck restraint systems that all these drivers use, as well as the 5 or 6 point harnesses. Still a hard hit though.
Yep, gets unstrapped and obviously probably more disappointed than that hit would have hurt. Austin Wayne Self, knowing had a top 15 run going. Pit road will be open as we see Austin Wayne Self climb out of that car, and he'll make the mandatory ride to the infield care center.
We know we're past halfway now. We know this puts everybody that comes down pit road in their window to make it the rest of the way.
Pit road is open, and Ray Dunlap, they're coming to you.
Matt Tifft is from Hinckley, Ohio. He said his car is very, very good. Doesn't want much of a change. Crew Chief Donnie Richardson says we'll do just a little bit of air pressure on the right side. So as that federated car comes down, he has Chief Wahoo from the Cleveland Indians as his sign. He'll get it stopped right there. They're going to put 4 tires and fuel in for Matt Tifft. He came off the racetrack running 2nd. Jim?
Race leader Spencer Gallagher is in. They're going to do 4 tires in the car. He said just a little bit loose, center off, so a small tire adjustment. Spencer told me before the race this car is better the longer the run goes on these tires. They're putting 4 fresh Hoosier tires on the 23 machine. That's when he's at his most weak point, I guess, in the run, because he said when it's early, it's loose on me. The 25 machine's in as well. Justin Boston, just 10 seconds of fuel, 1 adjustment on the left rear, and 4 Hoosier tires. He's down and away, P2 off pit road.
What an impressive stop for Spencer Gallagher. They come on to pit road, your race leader, and they leave pit road, your race leader.
Yeah, great pit work by Spencer's guys.
So once again, it was Austin Wayne Self in the 22. We saw a great battle going on.
They're right in front of our leader. That's the black car. You can see that right front tire goes down. He tries to hit the brakes, actually locks the brakes up, but it really does nothing. Nothing a driver can do when that happens. Hard contact with the outside wall.
What did it feel like? Let's ride along. So give you a little bit of an idea. The helplessness. That wall just coming right up at you. Earlier today in qualifying through 1 and 2, Austin Wayne Self also with issues.
He's going to get a little bit loose down here in the middle of 1 and 2. Gets a little bit sideways, has to chase it up the hill and gets away from him and backs it in the outside safer barrier.
And that was earlier today, and this is just now. Austin Wayne Self out of the car on his way to the infield care center. Gave a thumbs up to the safety crew, but still a hard hit for Austin Wayne Self here in ARCA Racing Series. Next Saturday, it's a doubleheader over on Fox Sports 1 as Bryce Harper and the Nationals take on the Reds, followed by the Indians battling Salvador Perez and the Royals. Coverage begins next Saturday at 3:30 p.m. Eastern on Fox Sports 1, streaming live on Fox Sports Go. You don't want them to catch up to your Tigers? Is that why you're so disappointed?
Not. Absolutely, that's a Central Division matchup there. Cleveland, Kansas City.
How about the Mudsummer Classic coming up on Wednesday from Eldora? What a great event that has been for NASCAR and fans to watch.
Yeah, so exciting last year, so widely anticipated, and it certainly delivered. And I tell you, if you're in the area and you want to make that trip over to Eldora, there's a few seats left.
Couple tickets remaining, so great seats there at one of the most historic and revered racetracks in all of dirt racing. Eldora Speedway, again, that's coming up next Wednesday. We're under caution. The Ansell ActivArmr 150. We're waiting for the restart of the Ansell ActivArmr 150. Jim Trado.
Real quick, guys, I just want to tell you that Spencer Gallagher is having one of those days. 49 races he's run in the ARCA Racing Series. Only 13 career laps led. 1 lap at Mobile is the only lap led all season long. 54 laps today. This team is pumped. It's all Spencer's guys that had done some pit stop to put him back out front as well.
And a bad restart for Will Kimmel as he's slow. And way up the racetrack he goes and drops about 10 positions early.
Yeah, this may be the final restart here. We're only 43 laps from the end. We know these guys can make it the rest of the way. Great side-by-side battle. The 52 of Matt Tiff, the 25 of Justin Boston. This is Mason Mitchell we're riding along with, watching that side-by-side battle.
To the outside, Mason Mitchell would like to make it 3 wide for that position. And here comes Frank Kimmel also into the mix as Spencer Gallagher will try to check out on these guys battling for the second spot.
Matt Tiff fights back on the inside. This is a battle for second, just behind our leader, Spencer Gallagher.
2 distinct lines. We got Matt Tiff on the bottom of the track, Justin Boston running the high line, and now Boston down to the middle, and here comes Mason Mitchell on the outside.
I think Mason Mitchell likes that outside. He's very comfortable up there.
Side by side still for the second spot. Here comes Mason Mitchell. He's got to run as they cross the start-finish line and head into turn 1.
How about Frank Kimmel? Frank's showing some strength here in that 44 car.
Just behind him, Cody Coughlin in the 55. Spencer Gallagher now a 1.3 second lead over Justin Boston. Matt Tiff running in the 3rd spot, but just on the driver's side door of that 25.
Spencer Gallagher's loving these guys racing side by side behind him.
There's the gap between 1 and 2, and now it is Justin Boston holding on to that second spot. Mason Mitchell still trying to find a way to get by these guys.
I think Mason Mitchell's content to run the high side here, way up the racetrack. Cody Coughlin, that 55 car, is hanging right in here in this battle.
There's Cody Coughlin. We ride along on the top of that car, way up the racetrack. It's Mason Mitchell.
That opens up the bottom.
High line.
Opens up the bottom for Frank Kimmel. You see Frank in that bright yellow car side by side now with Mason Mitchell.
Mitchell able to keep the momentum up this time. And here comes Cody Coughlin looking to the inside of Kimmel.
Nice move by Cody Coughlin. Frank Kimmel moved up to the middle of the racetrack. Had opened up the bottom, and Cody made the pass.
What an impressive run there for Cody Coughlin. You had mentioned the 44 of Kimmel. So strong. That was early after the restart. Now he's starting to fall off the pace a bit as Grant Enfinger's going to try to get by him on the inside. Austin Wayne Self most recently brought out the caution. He's standing by with Ray.
And guys, he was our Scott Rookie Spotlight today. The season started out great. He had a third at Salem, a fourth at Talladega, but a rough weekend at Chicago. Any indication of what happened to your race car, Austin?
Well, you know, it's been a rough weekend. Yesterday seemed like it was going to be good, and today it just started off wrong. But, you know, I can't thank this Cunningham team enough. You know, they worked their butts off after qualifying to get this backup car out there and get me back in the race. And, you know, with attitude like that, the way the team's working, I think we're I mean, we got to be winning a race here soon. You know, all this bad luck's got to turn around at some point. But you know, I was out there and the front end just kept hitting the tracking in the corner, and I thought I started to feel a little bit of pressure building the right front. And right before we went in the wall, I believe the right front went out. Not exactly sure what it was, but I think the right front went out there, and didn't really have much to do there.
All right, the right side of his car is flat. They are done for the day. And guys, as we just went back to the restart here, we saw the 69 of Will Kimmel dropping back. I just heard on the radio, he said he has no third gear in that car, so he's hoping they don't have any more restarts.
Yeah, once he gets into fourth, he's able to keep it going. He has 2 laps led already in this race and was on the back bumper of his uncle. Frank Kimmel trying to take that spot away.
Cody Coughlin, 55, has been able to get by Mason Mitchell to take over the 4th spot, and he's brought Grant Enfinger, the 90 car, along with him. Grant now up to 5th.
So it's Spencer Gallagher out in front. Justin Boston running 2nd. Matt Tift is 3rd. Cody Coughlin is 4th. Grant Enfinger 5th. Mason Mitchell back in the 6th spot. Kimmel, Frank Kimmel, and Will Kimmel now trading position. Will Kimmel taking the 7th spot away from Frank. And then it's Justin Allison in the 88 back in the 9th position, and Josh Williams rounding out our top 10.
Will Kimmel trying to overcome that restart where Ray reported that he did not have 3rd gear. He restarted up in the front 2 rows and ended up dropping all the way back just about to the 10th spot. Now he's made his way back to the 7th spot.
Well, Kimmel is 4.2 seconds behind Spencer Gallagher, our race leader. Justin Boston is a 2nd behind race leader Spencer Gallagher. So everyone chasing after the Alamo Rent-A-Car. The 23 of Spencer Gallagher here at Chicagoland Speedway. The gap between 1 and 2 has been split in half. Spencer Gallagher only a half a second over Justin Boston, and that gap is closing now to 1/10 of a second.
Yeah, Justin Boston, after that side-by-side battle with Matt Tift, is about a second behind. Now he's going to move to the inside of Spencer Gallagher.
Gallagher trying to hang on to the lead here at Chicagoland. 28 laps to go. Working around the lap traffic. Here comes Justin Boston. Looking to the inside. He'll take the lead away.
They're going to split Leilani Munter in the 66 car. Justin Boston to the lead.
Great pass by Justin Boston down at the bottom of the racetrack. Spencer Gallagher back to 2nd now. Matt Tift in 3rd. Grant Enfinger and Cody Coughlin your top 5.
Well, Spencer Gallagher's got a little bit loose there off of 2. He's led so much of this race. You know, he thought it may be his first trip to victory lane. Had his best truck series finish last week at Iowa. Finished 11th. Got a good run going here.
Can't count him out here at Chicagoland. A lot of racing still to go. 27 laps and counting. Justin Boston got his first career ARCA racing win back at Toledo earlier this year. Looking to make it 2 now as he's out front of the field.
Will Kimmel, the 69 car, battling the 98 at Mason Mitchell. That's a battle for the 6th spot.
Mitchell's been running the high line, and a few laps ago we saw him almost jet up toward the outside wall. Might be a handling issue for the 98. Let's find out. Ray Dunlap.
Well, his crew chief Matt Weber made some pretty big adjustments. Remember, I told you they went down on the track bar a round and a half to try to tighten him up, but Mason said it's not enough. His race car is still loose all the way through the center of the corner, and he told me in the garage earlier today this will be the last time they race this particular car. They've got a brand new purpose-built ARCA race car ready to go to come out at Pocono.
Can you build a car for Pocono with 3 distinctively different turns? That would be tough.
How about Matt Tiff now pulls up to the back bumper of Spencer Gallagher. That's a battle for the 2nd spot. Spencer's car is a little bit off right now.
Spencer Gallagher falling back. Justin Boston has a 1.5 second lead now over this battle for 2nd. Matt Tiff will try to get by Spencer Gallagher as those two get side by side.
Remember, Spencer Gallagher has only been on pit road 1 time. He definitely has another set of tires in the pits should the caution flag come out.
And he'd want to take advantage of that. There are 11 still on the lead lap. Matt Tiff just getting by that 23, right?
Matt Tiff's lap times have been very consistent. Donnie Richardson says keep doing what you're doing, and an awful lot of people have been rooting for Matt Tiff lately. You know, he's been a race fan all his life, but he's making lots more. On May 23rd, he graduated from Highland High School over in Medina, Ohio. Now, when he went to his first race at Toledo, the school loaded up a couple of buses and brought about 60 kids over to the race, but only 1 or 2 of them had ever been to an event. The last race, they brought 120, and 45 or 50 of them said, we're lifetime race fans now, and we're rooting for that number 52.
And an impressive performance out of Matt Tiff as he runs in the 2nd spot just behind Justin Boston.
Matt Tiff was the fastest car on the racetrack that last lap, about a 1/2 of a second faster than Justin Boston. Mason Mitchell drives by the 23 to take over that 4th spot. Jim, what's going on with that 23?
They thought they made the right adjustment, but Spencer just radioed in. This car is loose as a goose. He's hard, can't even drive it off the corners. You see cars passing Matt Will here. He is hoping the car can come back down for adjustments, but he is really loose on the racetrack. The grip is going away on the 23.
Trying to hang on to that car now. As Mason Mitchell was able to get by, took the 4th spot away. Gallagher back to the 5th position. Justin Boston separating himself from Matt Tiff. It's over 1.5 seconds now, the gap between 1 and 2, as we see Spencer Gallagher working very hard on that steering wheel. And the caution comes out. This is a great opportunity for Spencer Gallagher to make adjustments on that car. As we mentioned, tires could help him out immensely.
Yeah, without a doubt here, we're going to be inside of 20 laps to go. We only have 11 cars on the lead lap, so it'll be a great opportunity. There's some debris over in turns 3 and 4. That's what will bring out the caution flag, but Spencer Gallagher's guys need to make a pretty big swing at that thing and tighten that thing up. Put some new tires on it. I don't think all his competitors on the lead lap will have a new set of tires on pit road. Some of them have already changed tires twice.
Yeah, and how many will actually come, as we'll have under 20 laps to go. Will all the lead lap cars make their way to pit road? There's only 11 of them.
Yeah, I don't think they will, but I know Spencer Gallagher is the one that's going to make his way to pit road.
Pace car will pick up the field as they go into turn number 1, and Justin Boston in front of Matt Tiff, Grant Infinger, Mason Mitchell, and Spencer Gallagher.
This will be a bad break for Will Kimmel. Remember, no 3rd gear, so right now he's running in the 7th spot, and it's going to really hurt him on the restart. There's Will right there, the 69 circle track Ford.
And when you restart, would you restart in 2nd?
He would restart in 2nd gear, but he can go from 2nd to 4th. It wouldn't be as bad as not having 2nd or 3rd, but we saw what happened on that last restart and how many positions he lost.
So a difficult situation for Will Kimmel as he gets a little air in the car, sticking his left hand outside the window net.
We'll see if they open pit road this morning and who all of the lead lap cars take advantage. Pit road will be open this time.
We'll see who dives left, makes their way onto pit road. Will anybody?
Justin Boston's going to stay out. Here comes Spencer Gallagher.
Gallagher leads them.
Just about everybody behind Spencer Gallagher comes down pit road. Ray Dunlap.
Will Kimmel said to his dad, Bill, we cannot win this race where we're at. He said, I agree with you. We're in 7th. Let's come in and put 4 tires on this thing and make an adjustment. We'll have to deal with the transmission. Also see Frank Kimmel coming down pit road. They're going to put tires on his car, so they'll go with 4 tires for the 69 and fuel. Jim?
Spencer Gallagher's in. He said the car was evil loose. They're going to change the adjustments with the right side tire change. Little hang up on the right front. The adjustment in the right rear window as well to get that car tightened up to get him on. And the right front lug nuts are actually not coming off right now. They finally got the 5th lug nut off on the 23. Going by is Will Kimmel. Josh Williams. Frank Kimmel's also going to be the 23 out pit road who went from 1st to 5th with a loose condition here.
Cody Coughlin on pit road as well. He'll come off pit road, so Spencer Gallagher with right side tires. We'll see if that makes any adjustments and help for him. And welcome back to Chicagoland Speedway. The Ansell ActivArmr 150 closing in on the final 15 laps of racing. They'll be 2 by 2 now behind Justin Boston and Matt Tifft. The first 4 stayed out on the track under this most recent caution.
As well as our 5th place runner right now, Justin Allison. Will Kimmel will be the first guy on pit road, but Ray, does his transmission still missing 3rd gear?
It is, Phil, but guess what? They were 7th before they pitted. He'll start 6th now. So Spotter just jumped on and said, can you get down to the inside line and ease out of the way? He said, I sure wish I would, but I'm going to try to time this thing just right to get a jump to get up into 4th gear quickly.
Yeah, he probably needs to go to the high side if he's not up to speed to get out of the way. Remember, he has 2nd gear, so he can take off with him. Right. Just when he goes to the 2-3 shift, he's going to lose so much ground. He needs to move up out of the way to make sure he doesn't get run over.
He's led 2 laps. He's one of the 3 different drivers that have been out front as we look at our Ansell race summary. 6 cautions for 26 laps. Right now it's Justin Boston who's out in front of this field.
4 of our top 6 runners right now have not been to victory lane in the ARCA Racing Series before. Led by Matt Tifft in the 52 car.
We'll see how well Matt Tifft does on the inside. Now Justin Boston chose the outside line for this restart. 2 by 2 as they make their way out of turn number 4. Grant Enfinger on the inside of row number 2. Been very strong all season long. Green flag back in the air.
You see Frank Kimmel jump around Will Kimmel. Justin Boston with a great restart.
Boston jumps out to a good lead as the battle for 2nd now begins. Matt Tifft on the inside trying to hold off Mason Mitchell. Mason Mitchell clears Matt Tifft, sets his sights on race leader Justin Boston.
Remember, Mason Mitchell looked like he was struggling with the handling on that 98 car. He was losing some positions before the caution flag came out. Here he is in 2nd.
Up to the 2nd spot. Can he get by the 25? 14 laps to go from Chicagoland. Trying to make that high line work is Mason Mitchell in the 98. Justin Boston in the 25 out in front.
See, Matt Tifft right now holds down that 3rd spot in the 52. Grant Enfinger, the 90, our point leader right now, running 4th.
Mason Mitchell does not want to finish 2nd again. He's done it already 4 times here this season and the last 6 races. And Mason Mitchell closing the gap once again on Justin Boston. Now Grant Enfinger on the high side, and down below him Cody Coughlin.
Yeah, great run by Cody Coughlin. Now he's going to try to take over that 4th spot from Grant Enfinger. Look at Will Kimmel lined up on the outside with Grant Enfinger. Will's back up to speed.
Back up to speed and trying to get back in contention in this one. Spencer Gallagher just behind Will Kimmel. So it's Enfinger. Cody Coughlin in the 55 looking to the inside. Here comes Will Kimmel with the momentum in the 69. Going down to the bottom of the racetrack.
It looked like Will thought about making it 3 wide for just a moment, then tucked back in. Look at Spencer Gallagher chase that group down.
Spencer Gallagher, after starting on the front row, currently in the 7th spot. Handling went away on that car in the mid part of the race.
Looks like Grant Enfinger's handling's gone away as well. Remember, he came in here with a 10-point lead over Mason Mitchell. How they run on the racetrack right now would put Mason Mitchell in the point lead.
Mason Mitchell running very strong up toward the front of this field, 0.3 of a second off of race leader Justin Boston.
Keep an eye on that 23 car Spencer Gallagher. Remember, he led a good majority of this race. Made a pit stop, had trouble on pit road, came out among the last cars to pit. Has made his way now up into the 6th spot.
Justin Boston already with a win this year earlier at Toledo, looking for his 2nd win with just 10 laps of racing to go. Still running the high line, Mason Mitchell in the 98. Matt Tiff down at the bottom of the racetrack in the 52, running 3rd.
Outstanding run by that young man in the Jegs number 55, Cody Coughlin. See right there in front of the 69 of Will Kimmel.
Just a teenager, Cody Coughlin, currently in the 4th spot. And how about the run for Will Kimmel? An amazing run. Now that we've found out he hasn't had 3rd gear for the last 2 restarts. Once he gets it into 4th gear and up to speed, he's able to work his way up into the top 5.
He did a nice job minimizing the damage from this last restart. Lost a couple spots, but got them back pretty quick.
Will Kimmel holding on to that 5th position. Boston with a 0.4 of a second lead over Mason Mitchell. There's the gap between 1 and 2. Mason Mitchell continuing to run that high line. Boston hugging the white line as they work their way across the stripe. 8 laps to go.
Front 2 cars running just about identical lap times that time. Mason Mitchell just a tick faster than Justin Boston.
Trying to keep the momentum up as they're catching up to the lap cars now. Will that come into play?
That was a great corner by Mason Mitchell that time. You saw him gain some ground.
High side of the track continues to be the line for Mason Mitchell. Justin Boston able to pull away just a bit through 3 and 4, but now that has all disappeared as they go into 1 and 2. Mason Mitchell up to the high side of the racetrack. Can he keep the momentum up and challenge for this win?
You see him come off that corner with some momentum. Look at the run. He gets down the straightaway.
All over the back bumper of Justin Boston. Mason Mitchell looking for his 1st win in the ARCA Racing Series.
He moves down the racetrack, down towards the middle through that end of the racetrack that lap. Look at the run he's got.
Here he goes to the high side. Battle for the lead as they cross the stripe. Into turn 1, side by side. Mason Mitchell stays on the high side. Justin Boston down low. Boston up the racetrack. Mason Mitchell takes the lead away as they go down the backstretch.
Could it happen? Could he get that 1st win here? We talk about how many 2nd place finishes he's had.
Already 4 this year. 6 times he's been a runner-up, a bridesmaid in the ARCA Racing Series, and now he's leading at Chicagoland with under 5 laps of racing to go.
There's our 3rd place car, the 52 of Matt Tiff, 4th and 5th. Cody Coughlin, the 55, Will Kimmel, the 69.
Sticking with that high line is the 98 of Mason Mitchell. Now up the track goes Justin Boston in the 25. Grant Infinger, before his 1st win came, had 4 2nd place finishes. 6 2nd place finishes for Mason Mitchell as he's closing in on his 1st win in the ARCA Racing Series. Will Kimmel trying to take the spot away from Cody Coughlin. That's the battle for 4th.
He's going to pull even with him when we get down into turn number 1. Now moves up the racetrack.
Way up the racetrack in front of Cody Coughlin. He takes that spot away.
There's Spencer Gallagher. I really expected him to make a little bit more of a move than he has. He still holds down the 6th spot, but he really hasn't gained much.
Those 2 right side tires haven't benefited that car and that team enough. As Spencer Gallagher still holding on to a top 10 position, but not racing for the lead like he was hoping to be. Tom Hesser able to take 9th away from Frank Kimmel in that 77. Under 3 laps of racing to go.
Remember, Tom Hesser started this race basically on pit road with a track bar adjustment before the green flag.
There's the gap between 2nd and 3rd. Matt Tiff running in that the 3rd spot. Justin Boston holding on to 2nd, but a big gap between he and Mason Mitchell out in front. 2 laps of racing to go for Mason Mitchell.
But you know, Mason Mitchell, as close as he's been to victory lane at Winchester, he was leading in the last corner of the last lap, got taken out. He's not going to count this till he sees the checkered flag, because we could always get a caution in a green-white checker.
When I was walking through the garage earlier today, I walked into their garage stall, and I said, you guys have finished second so many times. What do you have to do to get the win? And they said, we don't think there's any other way we can finish second in a race. He said, so many things have happened for us to finish second. We don't think there's any other way. It's time for us to win, and they've got 1 lap before they get to victory lane. Can he hang on for his first win in the ARCA Racing Series?
Well, he's going to be able to hang on. He's got to make sure that the caution flag doesn't come out. Remember, if the caution flag comes out in the ARCA Racing Series on the last lap, we will go green-white checker.
We'll find out if he can make it through 3 and 4 without a caution. He stays up on the high line. Coming out of turn number 4, he's going to see the checkered flag for the first time. Mason Mitchell wins in the ARCA Racing Series. And the celebration begins. The emotion high for that team. It's been a matter of time. And that's Dad celebrating with the young man.
What an outstanding job. He used that high side. He kept using it, Finally was able to gain on Justin Boston. They had a great side-by-side battle for the lead. Dad Russ high-fiving everybody on the pit crew.
Why wouldn't you? And hugs all around for that team. What a great day for Mason Mitchell. Finally able to make it to victory lane. He's the winner. The Chicagoland Ansell ActivArmr 150. Took him 35 starts, and 6 times he finished second before he's able to claim his first win in the ARCA Racing Series. Let's hear from winning crew chief. He's standing by with Ray.
And that would be Matt Weber. The monkey is finally off the back. How does that feel?
Oh, it feels great. We did probably the dumbest thing ever, coming here with a completely new setup, untested, but we knew that we weren't going to win with what we had. So qualifying looked horrible, but we all knew that we were going to have a good car for the race, and it paid off, and that kid drove a hell of a race.
All right, congratulations. Go enjoy it. This crew going crazy down here. The celebration comes for a win after finishing second 6 times in his career.
And more than likely, he's going to take over the point lead.
Oh, without a doubt.
Mason Mitchell, an incredible run here at Chicagoland. His worst finish of the season, 10. He's done that twice, but now for the first time, hey, Russ gets a lift to victory lane. 2 weeks ago in Winchester, it was a great battle right up to the checkered flag, but once again, it was Mason Mitchell finishing second. This time it was to Brandon Jones. Well, that is all a distant memory. Now, as Brandon Jones celebrated in Winchester, Mason Mitchell is celebrating at Chicagoland, getting his first ever win in the ARCA Racing Series after finishing second 6 times. And that is justification for celebration for this team. Let's go to victory lane. Ray Dunlap.
Here comes Mason Mitchell out of race car number 98. Now that is a Gatorade bath. He's from West Des Moines, Iowa. Thermal Technology Services is from Clearwater, Florida. And he is the winner of the Ansell ActivArmr 150. Celebration continuing, and obviously it's well due after what this young man has been through. Congratulations, Mason. How does it feel to finally get where you don't have to answer the question of when will you get the first win?
It feels so good. Holy cow. We really wasn't that good yesterday, and we took a swing at it, Matt Weber and all the guys. And I can't put it into words. We worked so hard for this, finished second so many times. I think my dad, my family, everybody supported me forever. And I was trying so hard there, and we finally did it. I just can't thank everybody, Thermal Technology Service, Musselman's, Applebee's, everybody that's on board, everybody that's here, our fans. I can't believe it.
All right, congratulations, Russ. What'd you think? I knew the celebration was pretty big. This one's been coming for a while.
I was trying to stay kind of calm towards the end there. I knew we had a good car on the timing. I just want to make sure we could get around the 25, and like all these other races, been so close. I didn't start celebrating until he took the checkered. I just want to make sure we had this one nailed. He's worked real hard. I think we got the monkey off our back. Now we can just go get more of them.
Start number 35, Mason Mitchell, is now a winner in the ARCA Racing Series.
And I think Russ is going to have to wear that shirt to every race now. That might be the new lucky shirt for Mason Mitchell as he celebrates in victory lane. Of when Mason Mitchell would get to victory lane. 6 times he had been runner-up. Some pretty impressive names to finish second to on this list, but it took today in Chicagoland for him to get to victory lane. This time it was Justin Boston who he was able to get by to get this win. Justin Boston standing by with Jim.
With his third top 5 in a row, it's much to do about nothing right there. You wanted that win bad. What was the difference at the end when he gobbled you up there in the late stages?
Mason just drove perfect 10 laps there. You know, ours loop camera was really good all day. I really got to thank everybody at Venture Motorsports. Billy did a really good job getting our car race winning yesterday. We had a lot of struggles in practice, and you know, I got to hand it to him. He drove a heck of a 10 laps, and our car was just a little too tight there at the end, and you know, it was the difference between winning and standing here.
Great job by Justin Boston, finishing second here today, Ray.
And Jim, we want to hear from the Scott rookie of the race. That would be Matt Tith. Congratulations. You had another good one. Your third place run of the year. Were you happy with that one?
Yeah, definitely. It's our first mile-and-a-half race of the year, so definitely a huge step, you know, for moving forward, getting used to these types of tracks. And man, we had a really good car. It took about 8 or 10 laps to get going, and just the short runs we get killed by those guys, and we start tracking them back down. But thanks to all the guys for putting a good piece under me. Definitely a lot of fun racing, you know, side by side like that all day long.
All right, all the folks back at Highland High School rooting him on. Matt Tiff finishes third here in Chicago. Jim?
70 is the number. 70 laps led here at Chicagoland Speedway, 13 prior in all ARCA races combined. But Spencer, you still manage to smile. Great run today, but things got loose in a hurry, didn't they?
You know, 70 is about 30 laps short of where I'd have been happy, but you know what? Our Allegiant Travel Chevrolet really showed its stripes today. We were faster than all hell in those first 70 laps of the race, and the track started going away from us in a hurry. We started out just unbelievably fast, and by the end of that run, she was just evil loose. I told my crew chief, I want to grab the videotape out of my in-car and count the number of times my right hand's off the wheel, my left hand goes from here to here and back in about a half a second. It was pretty interesting to drive towards the end there, but you know what? All the credit in the world to my GMS racing guys. They're the ones that built this thing. I just drove it.
He had a shot at it, guys. 70 laps led, and confidence for Spencer on mile-and-a-half tracks came today at Chicagoland.
To the victor goes the spoils, and that is what's happening right now to a smiling Mason Mitchell, who's in victory lane and doing the hat dance for the first time in his career. Gets his first win in the ARCA Racing Series. Ray Dunlap.
Well, Rick, it was an impressive fourth-place run at Pocono for Will Kimmel, and he gets another fourth place today. But how in the world did you do it with transmission problems?
I'm not sure. We were able to go through one wide open after the restart. Pretty easy, you know, so that wasn't a big deal. The biggest problem was our lack of grip off. It just felt like I had a ton of stagger all day, and it wouldn't quit rotating off. But everybody made good changes, and, you know, Dad made good calls, and we made it the best we could there at the end. But I got to thank Messina, Ingersoll Rand, and Circle Track for helping us and getting us here. But we'll take it today.
Tell us about the rest of the season. What's your plans?
Well, we got the rest of the intermediate tracks here with the ARCA deal, both dirts, Salem, Richmond, Chicago, and Charlotte in the nationwide deal. And then we got 5 late model races with Excel. So got a lot going on here, and we'll be at ORP with the CRA series on Friday night. And I think the next one after that's Pocono back in 0320 here.
All All right, that's a long list for Will Kimmel fans. Now let's hear from the guy who finished 5th. He's with Jim Trado.
Another notch on the belt, another best finish for Cody Coughlin's young ARCA racing career here, 18 years of age. Take us through your first experience on a 1.5-mile racetrack, Cody.
It's fast. Man, I had a great time out there. Everybody gave me a great piece to drive here, and you know, it just was so much fun because we struggled a little bit at Michigan, and that was a faster track, and so I didn't really know what to expect coming in here other than, you know, I hope we do good. And right off the bat, we just seemed to be hitting strides well, and you know, nothing to complain about really. I mean, I just gained a bunch of experience here, top 5, and we earned it. We passed cars and whatnot, and so just awesome. It's fast, it's fun, and got a good result.
You've run a lot of late model races, and you said that comfortability factor is coming to you now. What's the biggest difference to run these 3,400-pound cars for you?
Oh, well, you know, this has got, what, 850 horsepower versus the 600. You know, it's way more heavy. And also on the interior of the car, I switched seats. I was really bunched up in my old one, and I just could not get comfortable. And so we went to this aluminum seat, and it seemed to make a lot of difference, a good difference for me. And so I think getting comfortable, now I'm comfortable, so now I can focus on learning the tricks of the trade for this. But as far as the car goes, probably just the power and the heaviness, and we're getting there.
Next up for Cody is going to be the Lucas Oil Raceway this coming Friday night. We'll ride along with him as well in that Jegs.com machine next Friday night. Ray?
Well, Jim, Cherry Hill, New Jersey's Tom Hessert gets a top 10 today, but not very often do people pit before the green flag to make that big of an adjustment. What was going on?
Well, we just really struggled with this race, so we figured we gave up a little bit, a couple spots in the beginning, make a couple changes. It certainly helped us. We were pretty decent the first run, and then made a couple changes on the first pit stop to put us a little bit behind. But all in all, you know, not a bad day for us. Happy to come out of here with a whole car in 9th and on to Indy next week.
Okay, Tom Hessert with a top 10.
Drivers looking forward to the next race on the schedule, which will be Lucas Oil Raceway in Indianapolis, a short track. Coming up once again for the ARCA Racing Series. Maybe Mason Mitchell will go for 2 in a row. Welcome back to Chicagoland Speedway. A great afternoon of racing, especially for Mason Mitchell. Want to take a look back in our Ansell recap of this race from Chicagoland. It was race number 11 for the ARCA Racing Series. It started off with John West Townley on the front row. He won the pole early in the day. Spencer Gallagher was on the inside of row number 1. 3 wide going into turn number 1 for the race lead. Very drop the green flag.
Yeah, Spencer Gallagher did not lead the first lap, but he led most of them after that. Justin Allison has a problem coming off turn 2.
He gets sideways, turned around, bringing out our first caution. Then on lap 19, early in this race,
this is just after the restart. Tom Birdie in the 20 car gets a little bit loose down in turn number 1, loses control, slides down into the grass.
And it was a loose condition for quite a few drivers early in this race. When a lot of drivers were fighting. Lap 24. This is John West Townley on the outside of Justin Boston, and something goes wrong on the right side of that car and hard into the wall for John West Townley, ending his day.
John West was battling Justin Boston for the lead. Unfortunately, he makes hard contact with a safer barrier.
Just past the halfway point. Spencer Gallagher chasing after that 22 of Austin Wayne Self. He was actually about to go a lap down, and Austin Wayne Self also with the right front going down, and into the wall he went.
Second issue for Austin Wayne Self today. Lost a car in qualifying.
Lap 73, Justin Boston decides the low line is going to be the fastest one to get by race leader Spencer Gallagher. He takes the top spot away and looked as though he was going to be able to check out on this field. Then on lap 94. Another lead change. This time, Mason Mitchell, using the high line and momentum, was able to get by Justin Boston with just 6 laps to go in this race, and those are the only 6 laps he led.
After 6 second-place finishes, his victory celebrates.
First win for Mason Mitchell, and it's just the 8th different winner of the 2014 season. And the first time that the 98 team has been able to celebrate after 6 second-place finishes. Superman in victory lane. Jim Trado.
And salvaging a finish after an early spin is Justin Allison. 8th place finish, Justin, but the race didn't go to plan early on. The car was extremely loose. Talk us through the spin and how your day went from there.
Yeah, it was actually, all of a sudden, it felt pretty good getting in and through the middle, and then coming off, it went all at once. And, I was kind of scared there. I looked over and I seen Mason coming, and I was just like, please don't hit me. But to bounce back from that, I feel pretty comfortable with where, I'm pretty happy with where we finished. We struggled all day, really all weekend. The race car never felt like it was in the track. It just felt like we were on top of the track. And then right there at the end, we kept adjusting on it, and it got better on the long runs. And then we had that last caution, and it was like every adjustment we made finally clicked. And after that, we were just way tight.
Thanks, Justin. 8th place today for Justin Allison, guys.
Yeah, disappointing finish for Justin Allison, even though it was a top 10. But really the celebration for Mason today.
Yeah, that young man certainly deserved it. As many second place finishes he's had, as close as he's been this year to getting to victory lane, he deserved that one.
Disappointing finishes for a few drivers, including John West Townley, but to the top of the point standings, and his first win goes to Mason Mitchell. Coming up next, it's Red Bull X Fighters right here on Fox Sports 2.